We support RIDOT's mission of achieving 0 fatalities by focusing on the importance of wearing your seatbelt and about the dangers of speeding and distracted or impaired driving. Through education and outreach, the RIL aims to positively influence the student athletes, coaches, administrators, and fans within our far-reaching RIL community to modify behavior in an effort to save lives, reduce injury, and improve highway safety. As part of this initiative, each school year, we ask everyone in the RIL community to take an online traffic safety pledge. It takes just a minute to complete, but it's a way for us to each pledge to do our part to make our roads as safe as possible. New this year, the RIL has created a traffic safety as a team sport toolkit, which can be found on our website at www.ril.org. It includes resources for our member schools, such as safe driving public service announcements that can be read during school events, as well as downloadable flyers and links to the various traffic safety campaigns. So we encourage our schools to take full advantage of this new toolkit. Tragically, during Thanksgiving weekend of 2020, 333 passenger vehicle occupants were killed in accidents across the United States. With that in mind, we would like these next several days to be as memorable for all the right reasons. With so many Rhode Islanders kicking off the long weekend by attending their local high school Thanksgiving Day football games, we encourage everyone to please drive safely to and from the games, as well as to your family gatherings and to your Black Friday shopping sprees, and whatever else you have planned this week. At this time, I'd like to hand off the microphone to RIDOT Director Peter Alviti to deliver some remarks, followed by Rhode Island State Police Colonel Darnell Weaver, and finally Rhode Island Police Chief's Executive Director Sid Riddell. Director Alviti.
See if that works out better. Can you hear me? Great. Well, here we are again. It's great to be here, particularly with this group of individuals that you see behind me. They are such advocates and such champions, the police chiefs, the state police, the Interscholastic League. They're with us every step of the way as we fight the battle to try and work our way to 0 deaths, particularly 0 deaths on the highway, particularly the ones that are related to alcohol and drug use while driving. You know, Thanksgiving for many people is the best holiday. It's a time when simple gathering of friends and family, and good food, and a long weekend. Maybe watching football, and of course, while some of us don't like to admit it, watching those wonderful Hallmark movies on TV during this time of year. Or maybe even a good nap after Thanksgiving dinner, right? And all it takes is a little bit of planning for each of us. And by that I mean a little bit of planning to make the best Thanksgiving ever. One that doesn't include drinking and driving. Plan ahead. If you drink, stay where you are. Sleep over, take a rest before you get on the road. Call a ride share, or have someone in the family be the designated driver to take you where you need to go. Because here's the sad fact. Even though this is a family holiday, every year about 800 people in the United States die in alcohol-related deaths. And if that weren't sad enough, this year and in the coming years, we have another issue that we are trying to all sort out in what we do, the introduction now of marijuana into the mix of potential impaired driving crashes. So we have another factor influencing how people drive. At RIDOT, that change put us on full alert again. We ran some focus groups to try and understand what would make an impression on the very people who actually admitted to drinking and driving, or driving drunk or driving buzzed. And they were the source of a lot of new ideas that came to us after the discussions that they took part in. And they were the source of a new group of ads that I want to be showing a couple of them to you today that will reach out to the public and try and amplify the message that we're delivering here today. They focus not only on impaired driving resulting from alcohol consumption, but also the effect of driving after using drugs. They're direct, they're edgy, and sometimes they can be a little difficult to watch. And we know that the people who use drugs, drink, and then get behind the wheel may or may not take these messages or ads to heart. So today we're also appealing to the family members of these people. When you're at the annual meal or at the annual celebration, if you can lend a hand to one of these people before they make a drastic error of getting behind the wheel impaired, we want others in these people's lives to begin to have an effect on them, and it's a call to action for them to act and help to eliminate the needless deaths that happen every year from impaired driving. I'd like to show you a couple of these ads now. Again, we'll be running these public service messages on television through Thanksgiving Day and the weekend, and on various other social media and online platforms.
When you're driving, reaction time is very important. If you've been drinking, that impairs your reaction time. Now, if you add drugs to that equation, even marijuana, you are decreasing your reaction time even more. How do we know? Because the numbers don't lie. The data about mixing multiple substances is scary. In fact, you are 200 times more likely to cause a crash than a sober driver. Don't drive drunk, don't drive high.
If you knew that mixing drugs and alcohol might make you 200 times more likely to cause a crash than a sober driver, would you not? Don't drive drunk, don't drive high, and try to stop someone who is.
Hey girl, what happened? Hey, don't forget to pick up the pizza.
To date this year, we've lost 45 people in fatal crashes on Rhode Island highways. We're trending better. I mean, it's as bad as that is, it's better than last year and some of the previous year, where we averaged about 56 fatalities by Thanksgiving. That's good news, but it certainly could be better. That's still 45 souls too many. We have no way of knowing what the added element of marijuana is going to have on those numbers, whether they'll rise. And we worked very hard during the last several years to get to where we are right now, to begin to have an effect on the number of lives that are lost every year. And we certainly don't want to slip back even a tiny bit. We lost 3 people during the Thanksgiving holiday over the past 5 years right here in Rhode Island. 1 last year and 2 in 2017. Rhode Island has also ranked relatively consistently among the top states with the highest percentage of fatalities caused by impaired drivers in the past several years. We're going to keep at it. I know the folks behind me are committed, the advocacy, the education, the enforcement. So as we return to each major holiday to ask once again for your help in keeping family and friends and yourself from getting behind the wheel when you're drunk or high on drugs. The Ride Out Safety Team, led by Gaby Abadi and Steve Prostawa, they're all part of this effort as well, and the Interscholastic League in its effort to reach out to the young people that they serve, has always been there with us as part of our great safety partners as we try to move the needle more and more to zero. Thanks for all coming here today.
Good morning. On behalf of the men and women of the Rhode Island State Police, I thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning to provide remarks to this important conversation. We are honored to partner with the Rhode Island Interscholastic League, the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, and the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association on traffic safety as a team sport. Each year during the holiday season, we have shared a public message with a theme that has the same point: drive sober or get pulled over. We know that message resonates for some, and they will utilize a designated driver, take a taxi, or use one of the ride-sharing platforms such as Uber or Lyft for a ride home. We are so grateful to those who have listened to our pleas and are taking steps to keep impaired drivers, in this case themselves, off our roadways. The idea of traffic safety as a team sport is particularly relevant because there are several of us involved and we all have a role to play. Our DOT officials provide funding and guidance for education. Our educators and coaches make sure that our message that impairment impacts one's ability to drive safely resonates with young drivers and stays with them into adulthood. And lastly, members of law enforcement are patrolling our highways to provide accountability to those who endanger others. It takes all of us to spread the message and do our jobs to keep our roadways safe. Since it is Thanksgiving week, I do want to close with gratitude and share that we are thankful for the drivers who listen to our pleas and plan accordingly. Last week, we had 3 troopers involved in motor vehicle crashes who were struck when they were on the side of the road with their emergency lights activated. We are so fortunate that our troopers did not sustain life-threatening injuries, but we cannot continue to have these crashes that are caused by impairment and distraction. Please keep us and our team safe by moving over when you see emergency lights. Thank you and happy Thanksgiving.
Good morning. My name is Sid Wardell, and I'm the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association. I want to thank the local, state agencies who've teamed up today for this important from different angles. I especially want to thank Director Alvini for your continued support, both financially, but also in your leadership as sustaining for law enforcement as we put extra patrols out, during many of the campaigns, but especially during this weekend. And obviously, the thanks from the team at DOT, led by Gaby, but also our NHTSA partners who are here today. Thanks for being here and thanks for your support. Director Lunny, a longtime friend, thank you for the invitation and thanks for hosting this and helping to bring a different angle as we try to address. For those who we care about to come together, and it makes it one of the busiest travel times of the year. With more people on the roads comes the potential for more roadway tragedies. We heard that 333 people were killed in crashes across the country in 2020 during this time period. One of the most important steps to lowering these numbers is to build awareness and provide guidance on how everyone can keep themselves and their families and others on the roadways safe. First, never drive if you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and never get in a vehicle with a driver who is impaired. In 2019, about 44% of total fatalities in Rhode Island were caused by alcohol-impaired drivers. The safest choice is always to designate a sober driver beforehand or to plan on using one of the drive-share public transportation. As our theme today suggests, teamwork is what it takes. Watch out for your family and your friends. If someone you know is impaired and planning on drive, take their keys and help them make the right call. Distracted driving is another dangerous practice that puts everyone who is in your vehicle on the roadway at risk. When you drive, the only thing you should be focusing on is the driving. Keep your focus on driving allows you to more quickly and effectively react to external factors such as pedestrians and other vehicles. We just heard from the Colonel talk about 3 troopers who were actually hit on the highways just in this past week. I happened to witness one of those, actually driving on the highway in the opposite direction, and saw the trooper that was actually hit on 195. For the grace of God, that trooper was not standing on the roadway side where the vehicle that was passing, but actually on the driver's side, where that vehicle was then hit by a vehicle that no doubt the operator was driving distracted, ends up hitting the vehicle and then hitting the trooper. So we can't stress it enough. Another one of the laws that's out there for the safety of our personnel that are out there working the roads is our move over law. Law enforcement is out enforcing that. But you know, if you're a passenger in a vehicle, maybe you say to that driver, hey, did you see the emergency vehicle on the side of the road, a tow truck, or even a broke down vehicle? Hey, just move over, right? So here's just another area where we as a passenger can have influence over the individual that's driving, where there may not be a distraction or other thing, but just the mere fact that they weren't able to see that there was a vehicle broken down or officer on the side of the road. A final and crucial important line of defense is to use your seatbelt. Of the 333 people killed in crashes during 2020 Thanksgiving holiday, 52% were unrestrained. In the past decade, seatbelts have saved the lives of more than 100,000 people in the United States. This call is simple, folks. Don't be a turkey. Wear your damn seatbelt. Over the Thanksgiving holiday, law enforcement agencies across the state will be taking part in National Click It or Ticket, high visibility enforcement campaigns, and throughout the campaign, law enforcement will be out there to reduce the number of fatalities that occur when drivers and passengers fail to buckle up by stepping up enforcement efforts. In Rhode Island, the law requires everyone in a vehicle to wear their seatbelt, and violators will result in a $40 fine. So today, we also want to remind everyone to buckle up every trip, every time. Rhode Island Enforcement will be actively patrolling, looking for impaired drivers over what is commonly referred to as Blackout Wednesday. They are not out there to spoil anybody's good time. However, they will be there to hold you accountable should you err in your judgment and get behind the wheel impaired. Law enforcement officers in every community in Rhode Island work together each day to keep people safe on the roads, and together through building awareness and educating the public on prevention and safety and enforcement of the laws, we hope to reduce the number of crashes on our roadways on our way to zero fatalities. However, we can't do it alone. Everyone plays a part in preventing the needless loss of life, and we hope everyone will take the necessary steps to travel safely this weekend. Thank you.
Okay, we'd like to thank everyone once again for being here to hear these important messages today. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Before I do that, a special thanks to all the members of law enforcement that came out today in support of us, and thank you for the job that you do every day to keep us safe. We really appreciate that. And at this time, I'd like to open it up for any questions that anyone might have.
Are there any areas of the state that are more prone to having fatal accidents than
I don't think, you know, particularly with the issues that we're describing here today, they seem to be pretty universal. There are no specific areas. Of course, the denser populated areas, just by the sake that they have more people in them, probably have higher numbers. But this is a problem that pervades all the communities, all the families, the people we lose every year due to not wearing seatbelts, driving impaired. It's a universal problem.
And to anyone involved with the police, how satisfied are you with the alcohol laws and enforcement on the serving side, on the drinking establishments, bars, for example? So the question is, how satisfied is law enforcement with the current laws that are in place? I would tell you that Rhode Island law enforcement, along with DOT, we've looked at and continually look at certain areas like look back. You know, how long that we can look back on an individual that has been charged. We are far behind surrounding states when it comes to the idea of how long we can look back. And obviously, as a deterrent, you know, that's one area, right, is being able to charge someone or increase the charge against someone. So, I mean, that's, you know, that's a particular area that certainly we'd look to increase. What's the present look back period? Our present 10 years on I'm looking at Gaby just
5 years
all right, 5 years, right, 5 years is current, 10 years is what we've asked for. It did get some progress through last year, but unfortunately, I believe it stalled on one side and was passed on the other. Thanks.
Is there a time, anybody can answer this, time that you recommend people hit the road if they're looking to be on the road with less people coming in? An ideal time to leave your house?
Yeah, I mean, we know regardless of what we say, people are going to get on the roads when they need to get to where they're going. Generally, the day before the holiday, certainly the day after the holiday, the peak times that we see people out on the roadways. But it's, I think the message here today is regardless of the time you take, be patient, be civil, have some civility in your driving, and give way to others. Carry the spirit of Thanksgiving and the holiday season to the roadway behind the wheel of your car. And give to others and be kind to others.
Yes.
Obviously, huge travel weekend this weekend, and the
Yep.
concerns about impaired driving, drunk driving. Some issues with congestion backups over at that new 195 split in Cascades.
Yes.
Any concerns about how that may hold up this week?
No. I think we have that problem solved. I think you saw this morning with some of the changes that we made in and around that work zone. And this is normally the way new work zone setups go. The first day or two, people are seeing them for the first time, so they have some issues. It certainly helps. The advice that I would give in going through any work zone, that one in particular, is don't change lanes the last minute. That's how that accident happened, and it's not a wise decision to make. Get in your lane, stay in your lane. Don't try and switch lanes quickly just before you reach a work zone where there are some changes in the traffic pattern.
You don't have to get up for this one, but police epic patrols starting tomorrow through Sunday?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
What are the procedures for noticing if someone's high behind the wheel? Talking about marijuana prevention. And is there a detection that you can do, like a breathalyzer, that might indicate that they're high, and then take it from there?
There is no breathalyzer type test for that impairment, but we do have drug recognition experts that are trained to identify the indicators that will allow them to make the determination that the person is impaired.
Great. All set.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all for
Thank you
coming.
all.
And thanks for helping us get the word out and keep people safe. This is great. Thank you very much.